Sonic the Hedgehog has been a beloved gaming icon since its debut in the early 90s. With well-made side-scrolling platformers emphasizing speed above all else, it was easy for players to gotta go fast, and helped the Sega Genesis almost usurp the juggernaut that was Nintendo. But as the years have gone by and Sonic made the eventual transition into 3D, things haven't really been as good for the Blue Blur. The same could be said for movies based on video games, but the sad reality of that side of the discussion is that there aren't really any video game movies that have been good, though the quality of them has certainly dropped significantly over the years.
Kyle? Alive?
A trend of terrible films that began with the Super Mario Bros. Movie helped spawn some of cinema's worst adaptations, including Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Blood Rain, Alone in the Dark, and as well as recent bombs like Warcraft and Assassin's Creed. But then, a glimmer of hope emerged in May of last year, when Nintendo, the ones who essentially helped to bring about this horrible string of video game films, gave us the wonderfully weird adventure of Detective Pikachu. I already talked a bit about it in this video that's on screen now, and pretty much all my thoughts from that are still how I feel about it, so check that out if you want to know more. But what's important to this video is that Detective Pikachu did what no other video game film had achieved before it. It made a fun, well-executed film that can be enjoyed by not only fans of the franchise in question, but just about by anyone. The plot might be predictable, and there's a few questionable scenes, sure, but overall the product was a resounding success, setting the bar for video game films and becoming the highest-rated video game movie to date. Things seemed like they were in good hands thanks to the success of Ryan Reynolds playing a child-safe grizzled detective. But then Sega looked like they might be ready to revert to the old ways when they released the first trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog. I really don't need to say what's wrong with it, do I? I mean, you all just know what it was. Look, I just really don't want to look at the original design again if I can, and I just don't.
SFPD!
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
It was that. Needless to say, fans were not pleased. Yet, somehow, almost immediately, the fan response caused the studio and director to say, "Yeah, we were wrong. We're gonna change things now." And they did so for the better. And when they showed off the new design, it seemed like things were back on track to be a good film. The final product is actually pretty good. It's not fantastic by any means, like I don't expect it to win an Oscar or anything, but I'd certainly say that the trend started by Detective Pikachu is at least somewhat intact. Ben Schwartz as Sonic is nearly pitch perfect, and even though the film leaned a bit too heavily on the marketing spreadsheet that says these are the things kids like tropes, the majority of the dialogue that Sonic delivers isn't too kiddie or too cringeworthy. As for how the character moves, performs, and all of that jazz, the visual update certainly helps things feel more true to form. He feels more like the cute character that they're trying to get you to see him as in the film, and Eagle Eye fans can even find all sorts of fun little Easter eggs in how he moves and does everything in his daily life. The story is pretty basic kid movie stuff, honestly. I mean, what did you expect? Sonic and his human friend Tom must travel from Green Hills, Montana to San Francisco to get the bag of magic rings Sonic has that let him travel between worlds. Road trip hijinks ensue. As far as the relationship between Tom and Sonic is concerned, it's actually relatively well executed here. But I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't talk about one of the absolute best parts of this movie, Jim Carrey. I'll be the first to admit that I thought he was horribly miscast as Robotnik when I first heard the news, thinking someone more like Danny DeVito would have fit the role a bit better. But what I wasn't expecting was sort of an origin story for Robotnik becoming Eggman. And by the end of the film, I just couldn't see Carrey hamming it up on the screen. And instead, I saw the infamous Sonic villain in full form. He was clearly just having fun playing the role, and I can't fault him for that because every time he was on screen doing so, I was having a blast. It's nice to see Carrey hamming it up again like this, harkening back to his How the Grinch Stole Christmas or Ace Ventura days. And I hope that the future sequels we're going to get out of this film help capitalize on this frenetic energy even more. And yes, I said sequels with an S at the end. The film has enough world building within that it could easily satisfy fans with a multitude of sequels, and even go so far as to tease one at the end of the film. I won't say exactly what it entails, but you can just fly to the theater to see it for yourself. Was that subtle enough to not include a spoiler warning? But as with all films, this one is certainly not perfect. The film feels like it leans a little too hard towards its target demographic at times, with a few jokes that feel like they'd be better situated into a Illumination production more than a Sonic film. The film's ultimate message of finding friendship in odd places is a bit overdone, and this film doesn't really do anything new with the formula, so it just kind of feels played out at this point. And at times it feels like the film is just adding scenes to pad out the runtime, even as the film is close to ending. But at least in that regard, it's not problematic, if only because the film is so well paced that it barely feels like it half the time. Overall, however, the film is a fun romp with Sonic that I was glad I went and saw. The film does a great job establishing a rivalry between Sonic and Robotnik. The actors, especially Jim Carrey and Ben Schwartz, are all doing fantastic jobs with their performances, and even with some scenes that seem to drag out for the runtime or feel like they're more for, younger children, it doesn't really feel like it overstayed its welcome. Fans of Sonic will have plenty of references to keep an eye out for, and overall, I'd say the film is well worth seeing. I'm not a fan of number scores personally, but I would definitely say that there are worse video game movies out there you can go see. Like, way worse movies. Thanks for watching.